Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM, brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to what we call the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio programming, but on the air, closing in on 20 years in the Memphis area. My co-host has been a friend of ours for over 10 years. I know that part of this show as a co-host, as a sponsor, most of all is just a friend, and that's Frank Barton, Marion businessman. I can't say retired. It just doesn't come out of my mouth, Frank. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. I can't get it to come out. But you don't Lake Conway.
I don't look at it that way. I tell folks I just don't work as much as I used to.
Well, you do too. You're working with your dogs all the time now.
I play with dogs.
You play with dogs now. But you've been to Lake Conway. Look, hundreds of thousands of people pass by this wonderful lake. It's not. It doesn't. I don't feel like it's a reservoir, but right out of North Little Rock, my hometown, and right near Conway, where I have a brother-in-law who lives, and on the way to Damascus, where I have another brother-in-law lives. It is known as a great fisheries. The great flood of I don't know how many years ago. This next guest will probably tell me. Did some things to Lake Conway we never thought we'd see, but it is where I caught my first fish. And when I got this press release from the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission about what was going on at Lake Conway, I wanted to tell you folks about it. So who better to tell it to me is Matt Horton. He is a habitat biologist for the Arkansas Game and Fish District 10 based out of Mayflower right there by Lake Conway. Good morning, Matt.
Morning, Larry.
All right, let's talk about it, Matt. What's going on in Lake Conway?
Well, we've got a boat lane renovation project scheduled here. We're going to start it in the next couple of weeks. Lake Conway, as a lot of people know, it's the first and largest Arkansas Game and Fish Commission-owned lake.
It is.
It's actually the largest state conservation agency built lake in the United States, as far as I know.
Is it 6,700 acres? I didn't realize.
Yes,
how big it was.
It's a huge lake.
Yes.
The average depth is only 4.5 feet.
That's right.
Which it's really shallow, but that also attributes it to the really good productivity.
Yes.
It has a phenomenal fishery. Probably in my mind, and others may argue it, but a lot of people are probably going to agree it's one of the best all-around fishing lakes in the state of Arkansas for crappie, bass, sunfish, and catfish.
Old Stumpy. I like that. I mean,
Old Stumpy.
And it gets that name because it's full of stumps. I mean, as I told Matt, I caught my first fish ever on Lake Conway with my late Uncle Perry Holloway. I spent 30 minutes on one certain stump there one time till we were rescued off that stump. So we know the stumps there. And we know the boat lanes, and a lot of them have not been changed forever. So you guys, when you say lane renovations, you're actually going to cut some of these stumps down to you can go over them. So talk about the renovation.
Yeah, so Lake Conway has 23 miles of boat lanes.
Wow.
And those boat lanes were established decades and decades ago.
Yes.
But over the years, we've used different methods to mark the boat lanes. We've never been able to completely clear all the stumps out. It's a monumental task trying to do something like that. But, we consider the boat lanes a path of least resistance, and people should always use caution. But the last time we marked the boat lanes was during a drawdown in 2006.
Okay.
And so last year, it's been 15 years, and so last year we started phase one of the boat lane renovation project. And so we've got a contractor who's coming out with a boat that can cut stumps up to 10 feet under the water.
Wow.
Okay. And we're widening out the boat lanes, moving some of them a little bit further away from the bank if they're too close to piers and boat houses. And we're using a new type of boat lane marker that's not going to become a boat navigation hazard if it gets run over or knocked down into the boat lane.
Oh, that couldn't happen.
The old boat.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
With 23 miles, that's a lot of markers out there.
That's a lot of markers.
It's just going to happen.
And so you're going to.
We're using a.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We're using a furniture grade PVC poles, which are more durable than your standard PVC, and they're colored red and green, just like your navigation markers.
Highly visible,
highly visible, which is key.
Yes, very much the key. Yeah. So you, how long you been on the job there, Matt?
I've been working for the Game and Fish here in Central Arkansas full time for a little over 13 years.
So you know Lake Conway's reputation for stumps. You know their reputation for fish. So
absolutely.
Has this been something that's been on the burner for a while that you wanted to see done, and finally we've got some motivation and money to do this?
Yeah, well, typically we'll try to do boat lane work during a drawdown, but Lake Conway, the spillway on Lake Conway has been there. It's a gated spillway, so we have to has gears that raise and lower gates to let the water out.
Yeah,
and they've been there for over 70 years, and it needs to be renovated.
Yes, he does.
So we've been waiting to get funding to renovate the spillway before we have a drawdown. A year-long drawdown, something to that effect. It's going to have an impact on the fishery, and we don't want to do a drawdown unless we have funding to do that project. So we're getting close to being able to renovate the spillway. We're probably a couple of years out, but it's just been too long. There's too many boat lane markers that have become damaged or are missing, and so we just need to get started.
And this
that's why we started last year and got 4 miles done, and we hope to get another 4 to 6 done during the next month.
That's pretty amazing. Again, we're talking to Matt Horton, habitat biologist, Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, based out of Mayflower, talking about the historic Lake Conway. I know the Great Flood. When was that? 2 years ago, Matt?
Well, we've had a few great floods.
Well, the one that got the lake, that really got the lake. I mean,
when the Arkansas River flooded, backflowed through the spillway into the lake. We didn't hardly get any rain, but the lake flooded. It got 5 feet above normal pool and flooded several homes around the lake just from the water coming back into the lake from the river.
Amazing.
And that was 2019.
That was 2019. And I know there's a lot of folks live around that lake. That was my goal in life, Frank Barton, to retire on Lake Conway. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I sure got memories of that place. And the stumps, it's probably got more stumps in 6,700 acres than any other lake in the world, maybe. I don't know. But
I haven't seen another lake with more.
No. And I did not realize the average depth is 4 feet. I knew that one time that I fished there, and me and my wife were in one boat. Listen to this, Frank, now. My mother-in-law and my mother were in the other boat, and they were fishing, and I looked over, and my mother tipped over and fell into the lake, and then my mother-in-law went into the lake, and all we could see was my mother still sitting in her lawn chair, and that's when I realized it was only 4 feet of water, okay? But it was a panic going on because it looked like it was 100 feet of water and everything. But the memories there.
Just got to stand up.
I finally got her to. My mother-in-law sat there with her head in the water. She finally realized she was only up to her waist, So, but it's a great fisheries, right, Matt? I mean, it's still.
Absolutely. The crappie. It's probably the best crappie fishing lake in the state as far as numbers of big fish.
Yes.
It consistently produces large crappie.
Yeah.
The bass are excellent. We've been stocking Florida largemouth bass in the lake annually since 2007 to try to increase the Florida genetics in the lake, and when we do our bass population sample on the lake, we see lots and lots of good size, lots of 3 to 4 pound bass.
Wow, I never thought.
Once in a while, we'll see some 7, 8 plus pounds. But every year we see pictures and hear reports of anglers catching double-digit bass out of the lake.
And there's no telling. That's where I caught my first fish. There's no telling how many kids caught their first fish at Lake Conway. I would put that up against any other impoundment in the state of Arkansas. As far as that is catching your fish. Hey, Matt, thank you so much. So you get more information on this on Lake Conway. I would say make it a destination for you this summer for sure. Take your kids, go over there. It's just about 30 minutes out of North Little Rock on Interstate 40, and you can't miss it because you go past it so many times. But they could go to, where do they go? They go to the Game and Fish website, right, Matt? And
yeah, you can go to agsc.com, and we have we've got an interactive map, and we've got lake maps you can print off the homepage under resources.
Yes, yeah.
And so you can see where the access areas are and bank fishing areas and stuff like that.
Well, be careful from April 26th to May 1st. That's when they're going to be out there working within the boat lanes. Is that right, Matt? I see.
Yeah, that's when we're going to start, and depending on the weather and how fast the contractor is, we may be working a week or so beyond that, but we plan to start on April 26th.
I would love to see that thing operate. I don't know how. I just can't imagine it going through the water, whopping them stumps down, So, and many of them have been there a lot longer than I've been alive. I can tell you that, too. Hey, Matt, thank you, buddy. Tell Randy Zeller and all the folks, Keith Stevens, thank you for doing this, and we will stay in touch again. Okay, Matt Horton? All right?
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, man. All right. Matt Horton. Frank, I don't know where you caught your first fish. I used to keep a book of where I did things like that. I wished I'd have kept that book, but Arkansas just got some great fisheries. I mean, forever right up the road from you, Lake Mallard, up there in near Blytheville in Mississippi County, was the home of I think it seemed like the record bass was caught up there. And Horseshoe, you got all around you. You can go to Horseshoe. Some other ones down through, right off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I know there's a bunch of them where you live. Great kids fishing lake. So I expect you to take your grandkids there, okay?
Already doing it.
Already doing it? Okay. Horseshoe. Yes, Horseshoe. All right. Frank Barton, thank you, buddy, for being with me this week. Always good to talk to you. You're going to be busy. Just we'll stay in touch and tell your family hello for me, all right?
Will do, Larry. Thank you very much.
All right, and we're going to close this baby out real quickly. Next week, we're going to talk a little birding. You birders, yes, I like bird watching. Okay, that's nothing wrong with that. We're going to talk to Arthur Richard Crosley and Molly Merker. There's a big event. It's called the Hatchie Bird Fest, and it's going hybrid for 2021, April 23rd through 25th. Going to be talking to them, Ron Wong. We'll be back and probably talk about the big Major League Fishing Heavy Hitters event, and then Bill Cooksey will be with us also. And Frank, we always close out this show that it doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good sport. And what else, Frank?
God bless the USA.